How's it going, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome back to a brand new test hand video. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at Marincess. I've made quite a few changes to the build, and probably will be doing an updated profile soon, alongside perhaps a testing sessions video. But yeah, I wanted to sort of just go through a test hand video with this deck, just sort of work through and talk through sort of where I am with the build. If I remember, I will put a deck list in the description of this video, so don't forget to check down there. There's a lot of new options from Eternity Code, none of which I've actually been able to physically get, obviously with the whole Eternity Code delay. So I'm aware of some people playing like Parallel Exceed, that Scriptron card, and probably a few other cards that I'm forgetting, maybe like Splash Mage. But before we go ahead and get into the video, I want to mention a quick shout out to our sponsor over at Imperium Duelist. If you guys are interested in picking up any amazing sleeves like the ones that I'm using here on the main deck, the two-toned color, as well as the extra deck, wine on the inside, white on the outside, same thing, this beautiful two-player cloth playmat. But also, Imperium Duelist has just officially came out with brand new dice, but they have these amazing designs on here, and I'll throw up some b-roll of you know, how amazing these dice look. They're themed after some classic spells and traps, you know, from Raigeki, Harpy's Feather Duster, Pot of Greed, all the way over to like Ring of Destruction, Black Power Stone, and Solemn Judgment. These dice are really amazing. They were kind enough to send me the entire 11 die set, you know, the blue obviously for spells and the red for traps. Fantastic dice. They've also came out with stickers as well that go along with the theme of the dice. If you guys want to help support the channel and get some really cool stuff out of it in the process, check out Imperium Duelist down in the description below and use that discount code WINNERKILLS10 off to get 10% off on some of these dice, mat, sleeves, whatever it may be. Do feel free to check them out. Same thing with using that affiliate link to TCG Player down below, and also possibly consider hitting that join button to become a member of the channel today. Alright, so I've shuffled the deck the best I can without taking too much time, but let's go ahead and draw into our opening hand and see what we can make happen. Like I said, I've taken a slightly different approach with this current build. First thing you might notice is adding in more hand traps, specifically cards like Ghost Ogre. I think this card is actually very underrated, this format. It's very good against Auroradon. It's very good against Needle Fiber. Very good card. Not so much against Union Carrier per se, but I mean I think this hand trap is very underrated at the moment. But either way, this hand is looking pretty interesting. We have 3 different cards in our 5-card hand. That's never a good sign, but we can definitely make it work. I'm going to start by obviously Cynet Mining away our Ghost Ogre here, and going to go ahead and search out a copy of Blue Tang, because the Blue Tang is mainly your priority #1 normal summon, unless you have Pascalus paired with like a Blue Tang, or Pascalus paired with any other Marincess. You want to sort of prioritize Pascalus first, because Pascalus will get you a little farther ahead into your play. So obviously we're going to start by normal summoning the Blue Tang. We can send any Marincess monster from our deck to the graveyard. We have a few options. We could send Sea Horse, we could send Mandarin, but I usually go for the Sea Horse. If we really have nothing else to work with, if we had Sea Horse in hand, I'd probably go ahead and send Mandarin, but we're going to dump the Sea Horse, and now this is where things get a little interesting. We're going to go ahead and link off into the Blue Slug, and then we'll activate our effects as follows. We're going to go Chain Link 1 Blue Tang, Chain Link 2 Blue Slug. Blue Slug is going to importantly target that Sea Horse, because we want to be able to get this to our hand to be able to use its in-hand effect. So this will go to the hand, and then we'll activate the effect of Blue Tang to go ahead and sort of reveal the top 3 cards of the deck, and then we can take any Marincess card that we reveal, and we reveal a Mandarin, which is a huge bonus, so we'll go ahead and take that in there. So you can see the Tenyi water monster in there. I think the Tenyis are a very good pseudo starter card, because a lot of your best plays just need water monsters to help enhance them. Sort of like, it makes drawing just like Pascaluses or just Mandarins or just Sea Horses a lot better when you add to them a card like just the Tenyi. While they won't like solely allow you to start your combo, they can enhance already not great you know, pseudo starters like just Mandarin or just Sea Horse or just Pascalus, etc. So that's why I do like the Water Tenyi. It's also level 4, which can help to make Dweller, which is a really good card, I heard. But now we're going to go ahead and special summon the Sea Horse. And then we're going to go ahead and link this off into a copy of the link 1, which of course is Sea Angel. And then we'll activate Sea Angel's effect to go ahead and grab the field spell. The field spell is very, very, very clutch. It's not a once per turn, the effect to attach a bunch of things. So you can see with a little luck there from the blue Tang, we've turned a very not so great hand, at least from a base look, to sort of where we usually want to be. But now with Mandarin, which I've since bumped up to 3 copies alongside Pascalus, Mandarin, we can special summon while we have 2 or more Marincess monsters on the field, and we have to special summon it to his own a water link monster points to, which is going to be right here. We do have to target this monster, so keep that in mind. But we're going to go ahead and link these 2 off now, and this will get banished. Do not forget that. And we're going to go for the Coral Anemone. The field spell, I've seen people play this very, very early on, and they keep using the effect of Battle Ocean over and over again, to sort of just, I guess, block things, but there's really nothing for us to block just yet. But so after we summon the Anemone, I'm going to play it now, and then we'll use Anemone's effect to go ahead and revive the Sea Horse. At this point, I typically try not to bring out the Sea Angel, because that means if they do have Phantazmay and they sort of know how the stacks work, we're giving them 4 draws instead of, 3, which is obviously not, either situation is not optimal, but it's better than the latter, of course. So once we do that, we're going to go ahead and link these 2 off here into a copy of the Marincess Crystal Heart. And the nice thing is, I like putting Crystal Heart here, specifically in this part of the combo, because I believe that while this card is in the extra monster zone, it's unaffected by your opponent's monster effects. So basically, it means if they were holding a Nibiru, it means that at least this card will stay, and we'll get a card back off the Anemone once it hits the graveyard. So I do like to play it a little bit safe, and that as safe as you can play it with this deck. This deck does get a little hindered by Nibiru. But now we're going to go ahead and link these off into a copy of Marbled Rock, and this is where we're going to want to go ahead and sort of chain block the effect of Lisa Anemone in the grave. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. We're going to go ahead and equip these 3, and we're going to use Anemone to target this to add this back. So this will go back to our hand, and then we're going to equip the Crystal Heart, the Slug, and the Sea Angel. You could equip the Anemone if you want. Doesn't make too big of a difference. Now at this point we have a Dinomischus in hand, which is great, so we could set this over here. And we also have Ghost Ogre with Blue Tang to spare. So, and the nice thing about having this particular board, and for those who don't know, this card is actually unaffected by card effects currently, because we have the field spell up, and because this card was link summoned using the Crystal Heart. So basically, if this card were to get cosmicked or twinned, we'd be a little out of luck, but we do have a really good strong boss monster with plenty of cards in hand and in grave ready to help out to make more plays next turn. And we do have the Paleozoic Dinomischus to add as a bit of a form of interruption. Same thing with the Ogre, etc., etc. But the nice thing with Marbled Rock, and even just the discard a trap of Dinomischus, is we can discard this to banish a card, and then not worry about losing our really good starter for next turn, because assuming this card survives the turn, which in most cases it probably will, being that it is unaffected by card effects, we can pick up another card for turn. In this case, it might be DD Crow. Use Marbled Rock to get this card back, and then just Cynet Mining away whatever card we didn't use, and just sort of help extend further into our next turn there. So, but yeah, either way, a pretty standard Marincess turn there. Really just starting with a Cynet Mining and some good luck off of our Blue Tang. But this test hand video, I'm going to try to showcase some other options, specifically some things in the extra deck, and maybe some things in the main deck if they do sort of come up. But I'm going to go ahead and reshuffle here. We'll draw into our next test hand. Alright, so the deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and draw into our second test hand of the video and see what we have. Solemn Judgment, which is actually brings up a point I wanted to mention. Marincess Mandarin, Marincess Blue Tang, and our fifth and final card is a copy of Marincess Wave. So this looks like an extremely optimal hand. The Phantazmay is a card that I wanted to play in here more so, and I think Phantazmay is a pretty decent hand trap right now, considering how many like generic link engines are being put into a lot of decks. sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Needle Fiber and Friends, etc., etc. Not to say that this is like an amazing hand trap, but I feel like it helps out a lot in this deck specifically because we do play more hand traps. At least my particular build does play a bit more hand traps than I guess any of my standard decks would play. The board presence does help. The protection that Phantazmay provides, and also the sort of the consistency boost that it provides is very welcomed in a deck like this. This deck does in some cases struggle to put out big fields. It's very much sort of protect the castle, and I think adding a Phantazmay on top of the protection it offers, the consistency boost that it offers, it also offers a bit of board presence. So that's why I really do like it in here. And with an efficient, as efficient as this deck is at starting combos, and hence the reason why we play so many hand traps in a deck like this, because again, a lot of your combos stem off just 1 or 2 cards to get you into what you need, and everything else is just bonus, hence a lot of these defensive cards that you see here, because this deck does kind of lack a little defense of its own, not to mention that, not to say that the extra deck doesn't provide a bit of defense, but not enough, essentially. And I've cut Impermanence for Judgment because nothing scares me more than getting blown out by evenly matched, or really like cards that are going to hurt a lot into the strategy, like Cosmic Cyclones and maybe Dark Lurnomores and things like that. Things that are going to hurt our turn 1 fragile boards. I think Judgment is a good stop to those. But either way, with this hand, we're going to start by normal summoning the Tang. Now we have Mandarin in hand, which really isn't going to change too much from what I would have done normally. So we're still going to send Sea Horse. Usually having these cards here is like a good setup. You want like a Mandarin in hand, Sea Horse in grave, or vice versa, and starting off with a blue Tang. So yeah, for now we're going to go ahead and link these off into a copy of Slug, and then we'll activate our Chain Links, Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2. This is going to add back the Sea Horse, and then we'll see if we can get lucky here off of our blue Tang, and then turn over the 3rd card. Unfortunately, that is not Marincess Dinomischus, it is Paleozoic Dinomischus, but that's fine. So now we're going to go ahead and special summon the Sea Horse. We'll go ahead and link that off and do a copy of Sea Angel, activate the effect to go ahead and search the field spell. I can go ahead and find that. There it is, the Battle Ocean. Now at this point, we're going to go ahead and use the effect of Mandarin to target this card here to special summon it out. And we're going to go ahead and link these 2 off into a copy of the Anemone. Now this might look very, very familiar to the previous turn, because it kind of is very, very similar. So yeah, now we're going to go ahead and special summon this out off of the Anemone, link these 2 off for a copy of the Crystal Heart. We'll go ahead and play our field spell at this point now that we've done, pretty much all the linking we need to do except for this part. And we'll activate our chain links as such, Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2. We're going to go ahead and equip all 3 of these links. Now, depending on how much back row we have, we might want to be careful as to how many we place. If this was another trap per se, I'd probably only equip 2 just so we have room to set everything and possibly keep this wave in hand. But since that's not the case, I'm going to go ahead and equip everything. I like to get the Crystal Heart out of the grave just in case cards like Called by the Grave want to, put a wrench in our plans. And then we'll add back the blue Tang off the Anemone. And we can even go so far as to use the Marbled Rock to add back another card like the Sea Horse, which I think I may have forgotten to do in the first test hand, so my apologies. But this card does obviously allow for more recursion. Absolutely a very, very strong hand. And if you wanted to do this as well, you could, is actually equip the Anemone to the Marbled Rock. So next turn, if this card dies and it leaves the field, you can use the Anemone effect to add something back as well, since it'll be hitting the graveyard again. Or during our following turn, if we decide to link this off again, we can use that effect in grave to recycle some more cards. But now we have a set Solemn Judgment, a Phantazmay in hand, and a Wave in hand that we can play directly from our hand, a bit of a better impermanence while we control Link 3 Marincess. And it also makes our entire board unaffected by card effects once we resolve it. So even if they do clear the Battle Ocean, our Marincess Marbled Rock will still be unaffected by card effects. Same thing with any other monster we put on board. So for example, during their turn, if we summon Phantazmay and per se draw into 2 more cards and just put back the field spell, at this point, if we go ahead and use Wave to, let's say, negate a Needle Fiber effect, or negate an Auroradon, every monster in our field is now unaffected by card effects, Phantazmay included. Yeah, it's a pretty strong combo. Even if you were to have something like Totally Awesome or Avramax, Wave does help to protect everything. as equally. And also, going back to the Judgment, again, this is, again, my replacement currently for Impermanence, because as easily accessible as this card is, I guess, you know, maybe it isn't entirely worth it playing essentially 6 Impermanences. Granted, this one does, you know, take a little bit more activation requirement to be able to get the full benefit of it, you know, needing this on board as opposed to just, you know, Impermanence being Impermanence. This can stop, you know, Twin Twisters, evenly matched, Lightning Storms, things that our deck otherwise would get blown out by. So I think this is a pretty solid card to have in here overall. Now, other thing I wanted to mention as we wrap that test hand up, is I think that was a pretty solid test hand as well, is the removal of the Called by the Grave from my particular main deck. I think in the previous builds I was playing Called by the Grave. But with playing so many hand traps, it kind of dawned on me a little bit that if I'm playing so many hand traps, and let's say I open like Blue Tang and Ash Blossom or whatever, and my opponent ashes my Blue Tang, I Call by the Grave their Ash Blossom, now I essentially have a dead Ash in my hand for next turn. So I'd rather, that's why I sort of bumped in the additional, like, you know, water Tenyis, because I feel like having the additional water Tenyis would help, even if I were to, like, special out the Tenyi and then go Blue Tang and they Ash the Blue Tang. You know, it's not such a big deal at the end of the day. And I guess that the only actual instance that a hand trap would be a major turn-ending card, I know some other hand traps in other situations can hurt, but is per se if your Pascalus would be able to get like Impermanence, which at that point you wouldn't even be able to Call by the Grave the Impermanence, or Effect Valor on the Pascalus, which I don't think is, Effect Valor is a too relevant hand trap currently. I mean, even, yeah, no, not even Ghost Circle would be so bad, but so that's the main reason, because like I was really fearful of Pascalus getting stopped in a lot of combos, because if it does, it oftentimes can end the turn, because Pascalus on its own doesn't do anything. You know, it needs other Marincesses to sort of, you know, make things work. If this gets Valor, you're just linking it off for Slug, adding it back, and, you know, that's really your turn. So that's why I sort of just, I think the Call by the Grave was just a bit redundant, I guess, and just really didn't make too much sense going forward. So this is our next hand here. And yeah, with this particular hand, we actually might even be able to get to a possible rank 4, whether it be this card, which I'm not entirely sure. I've seen some other people have this cards in their build or mention this card. It is a very good card, but the thing that scares me the most is that it's not a water monster, and that sometimes Dweller might be the only rank 4 that's accessible. But then again, who knows? It will require more testing. But either way, with this particular hand, we're going to Cynet Mining away one of our Phantazmay, since we did open 2 of them. And obviously, we need to go complete the puzzle and sort of get Blue Tang here. Blue Tang Clan, as they say. But either way, we're going to go ahead and normal summon Pascalus here, and then special summon out the Blue Tang. Now, again, like I said, if this card gets Valored or Impermanenced, our turn pretty much stops, unfortunately. I guess you could play it safe and Cynet Mining for Sea Horse, and that way you'd still have a bit of a follow-up, but it's just a much underwhelming follow-up, and even if they don't have an Ash at this point, you just sort of sold your combo short, essentially. But even if they did have Valor, which Valor is, I think, a not-so-played card right now, which is fine. I don't think people are going to start maining either, just slow down Marincess, and Impermanence, otherwise you wouldn't be able to stop the Call by the Grave. So either way, we're going to special summon out the Blue Tang, and then we're going to go ahead and send to the graveyard that copy of Sea Horse. You could probably send Mandarin here as well, but I think Sea Horse will fit better for at least what I'm trying to pull off with this particular combo. But now we're going to link off the Blue Tang, because again, we want that graveyard effect to proc to be able to add back, or add any Marincess card that we decide to reveal. So here, I'm going to activate Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1. Slug is going to target the Sea Horse, and then Blue Tang will resolve. We reveal a Wave, a Pascalus, and a Wave. So obviously we're going to take a Wave there. I've been pretty lucky on the, I think we're 2 for 3 on the Blue Tang reveal so far, which is pretty nice. So yeah, from this point on, what we're going to want to do is special summon Sea Horse, and then go ahead and link it off for our Sea Angel, and that's of course going to grab our field spell. Now from this point, if we had access to Mandarin, we could probably make a really, really good play, because we'd be able to play Battle Ocean, summon the Mandarin here, link for the Crystal Heart, and then make our Anemone unaffected by card effects which would make this board just an absolute dream, but that's besides the point. What we're going to do here is link these two off now into, unfortunately, an unprotected Coral Anemone, but use its effect regardless here to go ahead and bring back Blue Tang, and also use the effect of Battle Ocean here to go ahead and equip both the Sea Angel and the Blue Slug to it from the grave, and we can go ahead and overlay here into a copy of Abyss Dweller. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. We got access to Dweller very easily through our own engine. We also have a Solemn Judgment to back it up, and a copy of Marincess Wave, which we unfortunately do have to set because we do not have a link 3 or higher because we opted to go for the Abyss Dweller route. But it's fine because we can simply still activate it while it is set on the board. And we have a Phantazmay to activate during their turn, which will net us into a Pascalus and a Dinomischus, or a Mandarin and a Dinomischus. So at this point, I would say with this particular card pool that we have, with the Judgment, the Wave, the Dweller, and everything, I'd probably just go ahead and take the Mandarin for next turn, considering that we can probably just do more with it overall than the Dinomischus, because next turn we're going to probably want to start pushing for more damage. So yeah, pretty solid test hand there, going in a bit of a different route with the Dweller. And again, if we wanted to make Light Dragon Ignister, we couldn't even with that particular part unless we wanted to just right off the bat Pascalus and Tang right into one. But either way, we're going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck here and go ahead and do another test hand. Alright, so enough shuffling there. Also want to point out something with that last board with the Wave. Even though we had to set it, we still had a link to a Marincess monster, which would have allowed us, when we activated it, to make also all our monsters unaffected by card effects, Dweller included. And Dweller is good enough on its own, as we know, but when you make it unaffected by card effects, obviously it gets a lot better. So drawing into our next hand here, looking pretty slim, and our last card is unfortunately another copy of Marincess Wave, and this is a problem, a bit of a problem with the deck. I mean, obviously, with any deck, if you don't see any engine pieces, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot, but it's not like we can't do anything here, obviously. I mean, setting Cosmic Dinomischus and leaving the Ghost Ogre in hand is about as good as we can get, but in our next turn, we're drawing Phantazmay, and then Phantazmay is possibly getting, maybe getting us there if we're still alive at that point, but who knows. That's a pretty rough hand. So yeah, let's just go ahead and reshuffle and try to draw one other hand here. So out of 5 hands, hopefully we can get 4. You know, that's an 80%, you know, consistency rate, even though 5 test hands is nowhere near enough to sort of judge consistency. But yeah, I mean, one bad hand is going to happen. That's the thing with this deck. There's not enough, I guess, really good, like other Marincess monsters to play in here that sort of facilitate combos the same way the ones that we're playing do. So, I mean, I know there's other water extenders that people are experimenting with. I don't really like the Frog engine too much in here, because like it requires like so much, I feel like, to be able to get the most out of it. I don't know. It's something I might continue to like try out going forward, but currently I like the list without the Frog engine. But either way, we'll draw into our last test hand of the video here and hopefully get something that is somewhat playable, and it looks like we do. So we have the Wave, the Judgment, the Ash, the Shthana, and the Mandarin. So this is what I was talking about. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. When you draw just any weaker Marincess card, like Pascalus on its own, or Mandarin on its own, or even Sea Horse on its own, anything that's not Blue Tang, the Shthana is going to immediately add to that play, because you're just getting an additional body on board to work with. That's a water monster that doesn't burn your normal summon, because your normal summon is extremely valuable in this deck. Don't let anybody tell you different. But either way, we're going to special summon the Tenyi Spirit, and then with that, we're going to normal summon the Mandarin. So from here, it might look like we're going to want to link into like the Blue Slug, but we're actually going to want to take a bit of a different approach here. And that's going to start by linking these two off actually into the Marincess Coral Anemone. Now, I don't really like burning Anemone this early, but we really don't have any other choice with the hand we were dealt. We're going to use its effect here to revive the Mandarin and link it off into a copy of the Sea Angel. And then from here, we're going to use Sea Angel's effect to go ahead and, of course, grab a copy of our field spell, Battle Ocean, just like that. And then, since we have 2 Marincess monsters on our field, we can use Mandarin's graveyard effect to summon out to a zone that one of them points to. Now, at this point, we can go ahead and link these 2 off into a copy of either... Well, we actually have to go for the Crystal Heart here, but that's entirely fine. We technically could have gone for a Blue Slug, but really kind of a pointless venture. But at this point, we can go ahead and play our field spell and link these 2 off into a copy of the Marbled Rock. And then use our chain links, you know, as we would like. You know, we can do chain link 1, chain link 2. You know, we can use this to add back, you know, the Crystal Heart. We can use to add back Sea Angel. Then equip these 2 to this card directly. And then just like that, we've gone and gotten to essentially our Marbled Rock. It's a little bit weaker, granted, since we still don't have directly sort of any starters to make more plays with next turn. But we do have a Judgment, we do have a Live Wave, and an Ash in hand, and for turn, well, I didn't shuffle my deck, so we wouldn't be drawing Judgment, but hopefully for turn, we'd be able to pick up the slack a little bit, you know, draw into sort of any card that we need, any other Marincess monster, and try to get to it directly. Unfortunately, there's no link we can go into that's going to directly get us to a Marincess monster, so we draw Sea Horse, you know, with that particular shuffle there, but not too bad. We're able to get to our unaffected Marbled Rock with some decent protection just by having the Mandarin paired with the Water Tenyi. So just want to be able to, and the hand perfectly proved what I was trying to get at earlier, was saying that this card enhances any sort of standard play. I'm currently playing 2 because I only have 2. I'm definitely going to pick up a 3rd, and I might try a 3rd in the main deck. Just because I think, just for situations like that, it really only makes your plays better, essentially. I mean, obviously you can dead draw at late game, but if you've opened good enough, you know, hands already, it's not going to make too big of a difference at that point, since you already have your whole you know, gimmick established. You just sort of protect the castle gimmick. But with this deck, as opposed to something like Mermail, the Tenyi Spirit is a lot better because you're so reliant on getting just waters on board to be able to make plays happen, like you saw there. If we would have just had the Mandarin without any other water, whether it be a Marincess monster or something like the Tenyi Spirit, it would have been, you know, Blue Slug pass, which is very unfortunate. But we were still able to make live out of it, basically our standard combo, just with a little bit less resources for next turn. But either way, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, of course. As always, Winner Kills signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And of course, a special thanks to my Divine Level Tier 3 channel members here, Academic Thick, Travis Harris, and Zors. Thank you guys.